it's wonderful.
Why did you like this movie in
this
particular?
movie has a lot of heart and soul, and the people who made it were people of faith and values. And you know, a lot of the Pixar person who came up to receive the award got up and said, most of us go to church, and most of us are strong believers, and most of us are heading our Boy Scouts. And so they come from that red state part of America that shows that they have a passion for goodness. But look at the themes in this movie, how important family is, how important taking care of your children. You know, when Mr. Incredible confesses, which every father should have the decency to do to his kids, that I thought too much of myself and I needed to love my family more. You want to cry. You know, just the father image is the father learning to humble himself, which God tells us to do, so that we can love our children. That doesn't mean we lose our authority as mother or father. It just means we care enough to love our children enough to let them see that we really make some mistakes once in a while.
You have been working
I'm crying now. You know, I love this movie.
Me too. I watched it over and over again. I really enjoyed it. But you have been working so tirelessly for decades trying to get the message out to Hollywood that family values sells. And why wouldn't it? It makes perfect economic sense. It's delightful to be able to take your entire family to a movie and not worry about what message your kids are receiving. It's just a delightful thing. And you have worked so hard to get that message out. And there's evidence that Hollywood is getting that message.
Hollywood is listening. Hollywood is making more movies. When we started, there was only one movie with positive Christian content. Now it's 2 or 3 out of 5 every week. Michael W. Smith, some of the great names in Christian music are now making videos. Into the Spear, some of the great Christian stories. But the key is not the person in Hollywood. Let's say Into the Spear has been made by the head of production at Sony, a very important guy, a very good producer. The key is not him. The key, the most powerful person in Hollywood is the person who votes for movies. So, you know, I'm just very grateful for the opportunity to come here and help your audience vote for what's good. We need to support the good movies. If people go out of their way to fight the system, to fight the club, the cliques, the pressure to do sort of politically correct suicide movies, if people fight for family and decency and justice and truth like the Incredible team, we need to go out and support them, because if we don't support them, I'll tell you, the other people won't support them. So you are the most important person in Hollywood. You determine to protect the eyes of innocence of your children. You determine what your children see or don't see. You help your children learn media wisdom. And all I'm here for is to equip you, the most powerful person in Hollywood, to make wise decisions. And you know, you don't always have to pay attention to my decisions, but I'm helping you give guidance. I don't do thumbs up or thumbs down. I just give you guidance.
You have the numbers to back up what you're saying. You've done years and years of research on this. And as a matter of fact, we're going to share a graph with our audience that shows very graphically that sex and violence don't always sell.
Right. What this graph shows is the big chart, which you can't see, says CCC for more Christian. That's extreme Christian. The more Christianity you put in a movie, the better it does. You know, everybody says, oh, we don't want to mention the name of Jesus because it might scare people. Actually, God says, you know, this name is above all names, and if you lift him up, he'll draw all people unto him. And that's true in the movie industry. Actually, it works, a biblical principle. The next one is moral. Movies do better at the box office, not as well as when you put Jesus. Violence doesn't do as well. Then the next one is LLL for language doesn't do as well. Sex does very badly, and nudity does not do well at all. And then when you get into perverse sex, it's under $1 million, which is 100,000 people in a country of 300 million people, is pathetic.
Well, here's an amazing statistic. When you started in 1985, only 6% of all movies were aimed at families. By 2002, 45% of the movies released in theaters were aimed at families. And those family films grossed on average 200% better than movies aimed at the adult marketplace.
And the figures keep getting better. That was last year's figures. This year it's even better for strong moral films, because the bad films have gotten worse. You know, many of your viewers will look at the trailers you were talking about yesterday, yes, look at the clips, look at the reviews, and they say, oh, the bad is worse. Yes, well, this is a biblical principle. You know, all of this can be tied back to what God said in the Word, but the wheat grows up with the chaff. The bad is getting worse, but the good is getting better. Now you have the Passion of the Christ. Now you have The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And coming up this year is going to be some great movies. Cars, We were talking to somebody about Cars the other day. Cars is a great movie. It's about a young car, a race car. He gets stuck in a little tiny desert town with a lot of old cars.
Well, I've seen the trailers for
Yeah,
that.
he has to learn that the old cars have a little bit of wisdom.
That's
you know,
good.
us
The older
parents,
I
we
get,
have right.
the more I believe and embrace
Right.
that message.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I am dating myself now. I can remember a time when it seemed every movie, at least by the trailers that seemed reasonably worth watching, I would not go, were rated R. And so there was a time in my life where for years on end, when I never went to see a single movie. But the number of R-rated movies is on the decrease.
It's 50% of what it was in 1985. It's gone from 82% to 81% there in 85 to 35% in 2004, and it keeps sinking. R-rated movies consistently do poorly at the box office. In spite of the attempts of the politically correct crowd to drive up their box office, they do not do well.
And at the same time we're seeing this decrease in R-rated movies, we're seeing a rise in pictures with strong morality messages.
Right. Moral content has gone up 159% from 26% to 67%. But the better yet is that movies with Christian content have gone through the roof. They've just soared 14,000%. You know, actually, as a mathematician, you can't do 14,000%, but they do that. They do that in that variety. So.
Well, you know, we talked about yesterday how important it is, from your view, to redeem the culture. What do you mean by that?
Well, when you're redeeming the culture is when you're looking at the values. You know, civilization used to be the word for Christianization of society.